My name is Elizabeth Stanton. I was born on November 12th of 1815. I attended Johnstown Academy, gained an informal legal education through discussions with my father, and later married Henry Stanton, an abolitionist, who helped me gain interest in the abolishment of slavery. Through one of the conferences dealing with the abolishment of slavery, I met a woman by the name of Lucretia Mott, who I discussed holding a women's convention in Seneca Falls, New York, 8 years later. Through this newfound interest in women's rights, I began to petition to Congress to pass the New York Married Women's Property Act, which helped women who were going through divorce to gain their property and not to lose custody over their children. When the suffrage movement arose, I began to petition for other women's rights, which led to the most important event in my life in the spring of 1851 when I met Susan B. Anthony. In an anti-slavery convention in Seneca Falls, I met this incredible woman, which was the beginning of the journey to my writing of the history of women's suffrage and the forming of a group that propelled the path of women's suffrage forward faster than any other event in American history. Around the time I met Susan B. Anthony, I became a mother of 7 healthy children. They were a blessing, but during my time it wasn't proper to only have a job and no children. So, when I couldn't do the things that Susan B. Anthony was able to do, such as attend conferences that I had to travel to get to, I would write the speeches and she would present them in my place. In 1862, I became involved in the civil rights movement. I began to advocate for the 13th Amendment to abolish slavery once and for all. 2 amendments I did not agree with, however, were the 14th and the 15th, which gave voting rights to black men but not women. These 2 movements angered me greatly and caused me to form the National Women's Suffrage Association in 1869 with Susan B. Anthony. We were angry that these amendments gave a different group their own constitutional rights, while still excluding women from the inclusion in constitutional freedoms. I later became the president of this organization, and in my later years, became more of an author. Some titles of mine include The History of Women's Suffrage, which I co-wrote with Susan B. Anthony, The Women's Bible, which I wrote independently, and 8 Years and More, which is the book I'm currently writing right now. I am of the strong belief that the prejudice against color of which we hear so much is no stronger than that against sex. It is produced by the same cause and manifested very much in the same way. The Negro's skin and the woman's sex are both prima facie evidence that they were intended to be in a subjection to the white Saxon male. I am of the unpopular opinion that women have just as much a right to constitutional freedoms as men. I am certain that the Constitution was not only made for the benefit of white males, and I will gladly spend my life to better the lives of future women and their chances at equality, rather than griping about the lack of opportunities I was given myself.
the sound of myriad voices
It is 51 years since we first met, and we have been busy through every one of them stirring up the world to recognize the rights of women. We little dreamed when we began this contest, optimistic with the hope and buoyancy of youth, that half a century later we would be compelled to finish and leave the battle to another generation of women. But our hearts are filled with joy to know that they enter upon this task equipped with a college education, with business experience, with the fully admitted right to speak in public, all of which were denied to women 50 years ago. They have practically one point to gain, the suffrage. We had all.
Raise the flag and plant the standard, wave the signal still. Brothers, we must share your freedom, help us and we will.